Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. Today I have a really exciting video for you. I'm going to be doing a first impressions demo swatches review on the Kathleenlights and Colourpop collaboration. This is the Dream Street Palette. So if you guys are interested in hearing all about this palette and seeing some swatches and also a demo on this look here, then just keep watching. So this is what the packaging looks like. It just comes in this kind of creamy white box with this kind of marble rose gold detailing, crescent moons and stars. It just says Dream Street and it says Kathleenlights times Colourpop, and that's the outer sleeve. The outer sleeve does as well on the back have a list of all of the shade names as well. Opening it up, this is what the actual box looks like. It's very similar to the outer sleeve, and when you open it up, these are the shades. Now when I first opened this up, I was literally just like, oh my gosh, it is an absolutely stunning palette, guys. This is a predominantly neutral palette. It does have these fun kind of pops of teal in here, which really complement the kind of bronzy rose gold shades in the palette. So I'm really impressed with the shadow selection for this palette. I think they're stunning, definitely right up my alley with all these kind of warm, kind of rose goldy shades. I love these types of shades. I don't think I could ever get enough of them, so I'm super happy with the shade selection that Kathleen put together. So this palette retails for $16 US. Now I'm really impressed with the shipping from Colourpop. It is a US based company and the shipping to Australia is actually really reasonable, nothing in comparison to what Morphe charges for their international shipping, so I'm really happy with that. I love Colourpop for that, to really look after all of their customers and to give us international customers a really good shipping rate. I do appreciate that, so thank you Colourpop. Now the formula of these shades is actually really impressive. Personally, I think the mattes are a little bit better than the shimmers. You'll see in the swatches, the shimmers do swatch really well, but applying them onto the lid, I definitely think these need a base or something tacky to cling onto, and using your fingers seems to be the best kind of option when applying these shimmer shades. They are quite delicate and they do kind of flake and can look a little bit chunkier on the eye. I don't really mind that kind of look, but if you don't like a kind of chunkier shimmer on your lid, this palette might not be for you. The mattes that I used today in the demo, they blended out so seamlessly. The transition shades in here are like, they're really good. The only thing I kind of dislike a bit about this palette, it has a smell. It just has like, there's like this really strong kind of plastic manufacturing gluey kind of smell to the palettes, which I think once you open them and use them, it kind of dissipates. Like, it doesn't stay as strong as when you first open it up and you're like, damn. Or maybe I'm just getting used to it, one or the other. But what I have noticed, and it's probably just because this one has the kind of marbled rose gold foil on the packaging, but I have noticed, I don't know if you can see, there we go. See how it's like made these rings around with the palette? I feel like that's the glue that's kind of removing or creating this kind of like weird discoloration on the packaging. As you can see, it literally lines up exactly where the shadows are. So I don't know, I feel like the glue is kind of like screwing around with the packaging, which makes me a little bit hesitant, and I was a bit like, oh, I don't know if I want to be putting this on my eyes. I haven't had any kind of issue with them on my eyes, but just so you're aware, if you do have sensitive eyes, then this might be something to kind of watch out for. But so far I've had no issues. I do think it's maybe just from what is gluing the shadows down. So yeah, that's kind of the one kind of con with this palette so far that I've seen. Other than that, the only kind of other gripe that I have with the palette is that the names are not printed on the actual palette. We do have them on the back here, but I do like when they're actually printed on the palette itself. This is similar in the kind of Yes Please palette where they don't have it printed on the inside, they have them on the back, but the Give It To Me Straight palette has it printed on the actual palette itself, which I do really like. But again, that's not a huge deal and kind of my only other gripe that I have with this palette. So I think it's doing pretty well. So I'm going to jump into the swatches now so you can see what these look like. Some shadows swatch a little bit better than others. The teal matte shade is kind of what I had a bit of an issue with when swatching, which you guys will see, but I definitely do want to play around with that one so I can see what it actually performs like on the lid. Swatches I don't think are a particularly accurate representation of the shadows and how they perform on the eyes, but I do appreciate being able to see what the colors look like. So I'll jump into the swatches for you now. So the first shade we have is Shooting Star, and it's described as being a matte soft golden brown. Next up we have Magical, which is a matte yellow peach. Stardust, metallic true copper. Twinkle, a metallic true rose gold. I love Twinkle, it's so pretty. Next up for the second row we have Sweet Dreams, which is described as being a metallic soft champagne with a peachy pink flip, which I do really like. It looks so pretty on the lid. Next up we have Water Bearer, which is described as being a matte cool teal, and guys, this one didn't really swatch that well. I'm not super impressed with it, so I definitely want to give it a try out on my lids, but that's that shade. Next up we have Potion, which is a matte vivid reddish rust, which is so stunning. And then lastly for the second row we have Spark, which is a matte neon red. First up on the bottom row we have Kaleidoscope, which is a metallic intense silvery nude. Next up we have Elfish, which is a matte rich red brown. Then we have Moonie, which is a satin soft baby pink. This color is gorgeous for highlighting your inner corner and your brow bone. And then lastly we have Mermaid Boy, which is a metallic deep teal. Now as you can see, I do go in a little bit more water bearer just to see if I can build up that shade, and it does swatch a little bit better with a kind of second layer. But that's all the shades for you. So guys, as you can see from the swatches, the colors in this palette are absolutely stunning. Like literally, they are jaw-dropping. I'm so impressed with the color range. I can definitely see this becoming one of my kind of go-to neutral-based palettes. It's super affordable. The color selection is fantastic. It does have those kind of fun pops of teal as well. I love that they are a wearable teal as well. Like they're not super like blue or like super aqua. Like they're a really nice deep teal color, which is definitely more on the wearable scale when it comes to wearing blue eyeshadow. It's nothing like an 80s blue or something really retro, which I really like. So now guys, we're gonna move on to the demo portion so you can see how the shadows actually perform on the eyes. This is the look that I did, so if you want to see how I created it, then just stay tuned. Okay guys, so for this look, for our first shade, I'm going to be going in with Magical, which is this shade right here, just as our initial kind of transition shade. Now, just so you are aware, there is a little bit of kickback with these shades. They're a bit powdery, just so you are aware. Now for me, that's like not a deal breaker or anything like that. I feel like a lot of high-end palettes have a lot of kickback. They are essentially a powder, so that they're a bit powdery. It doesn't really worry me as long as they blend well. I don't worry about kickback. So I'm just going to be going in with that shade. This is just a Sigma tapered E35 brush, and I'm just going to begin to place that into my crease. That's really, really pigmented. Definitely pulling a little bit more peach than I expected in the pan. I don't know, it looks a little bit more neutral brown, but it's definitely a peachy kind of colour when you apply it on the lid. Sorry guys, my mum decided to vacuum, so we're going into voiceover mode now. So we're taking the shade Shooting Star and we're going to be placing this into our crease to further define it. This is a slightly more tapered blending brush. It's not as fluffy and kind of spread out as the one that we used earlier. Love this shade guys. It is a beautiful transition shade. I'm pretty much using it every single day since I've got this palette. I absolutely love it for like everyday wear. Next up we're going to be going into Poison. This is a really kind of rusty shade, and as you can see there's a lot of kickback with this one, and a lot of pigment comes up on your brush, so just do be careful. Make sure you tap off any excess because it's quite pigmented. So unless you're going for a really blown out kind of ready smoky eye, you definitely want to make sure that you're tapping off your brush with this shade. Then I'm just going to be blending out with that original brush that we used at the beginning. Then we're going to be cutting the crease. I'm just using my Rimmel Wake Me Up concealer and also just a flat definer brush. I'm going to be using this to kind of carve out our crease. I love good cut crease guys. I feel like it's just a very flattering eyeshadow technique. It looks so stunning. So next up we're going to be taking the shade Sweet Dreams. I love the shade, it's so pretty. I'm going to be placing this kind of on the inner third of the eyelid, and I'm just using my finger. I feel like you get the best pigmentation payoff by using your finger. If you use a brush with a little bit of Fix Plus on it, I feel like it just becomes really chunky, so I definitely like applying these shadows with my finger instead. Then we're going to be going into the shade Twinkle. Guys, this is stunning. Look how beautiful it is. It is like the perfect rose gold pigment. I absolutely love it. Then we're just going to be deepening up that outer corner a little bit more and blending that in with the shade Poison, using that same brush that we used beforehand as well. I'm just going to be taking a kind of flatter synthetic brush that has quite a precise tip on it to really make sure that cut crease is nice and defined there as well. We're going to deepen everything up further using the shade Elfish, and I'm just applying this with this like a small pencil brush, just really focusing it on the outer corners and then blending it out to make sure there's no harsh lines and everything is super seamless. So next up we're going to highlight the inner corners. I'm just using the shade Starburst from the ABH Sugar Glow Kit. I just felt like I wanted something that is a bit more reflective, so I just used the same highlight that I used on my cheeks. Next up we're moving on to our lower lash line. I'm just taking the shade Magical and we're just going to be placing that on a small brush and applying that along our lower lash line. Next up we're moving on to to Shooting Star, and I'm just going to be using that on a small pencil brush to really focus just a little bit more on the kind of outer third of the eye, and then moving on to Poison again to just deepen up, again just keeping it to that kind of outer third. I don't want to be bringing it too close towards my inner corner. And then we're just going to go back in with the shade Elfish, and I'm just stamping that along the lash line exactly so it kind of defines it a little bit more, and then just connecting it up with that same brush we used earlier, again just a little bit more Elfish to really kind of match up our lower lash line with the outer corners of our upper lid area, I guess. Next up, I'm applying a little bit of eyeliner. This is just the Rimmel Nude pencil just to my lower waterline to really open up the eyes. And then for our upper lash line and also our waterline, I'm going to be taking the Maybelline. This is the Master Drama, the Nude. So it's like a bunch of new kind of eyeliners that they've come out with, and this is such a pretty color. The shade is actually called Brownie Glitz. It's pretty much the perfect eyeliner for this look. Next, I would just apply a little bit of mascara and also lashes. These lashes are from Socialize, and they are just the glamorous lashes. I love how kind of flared they are at the outer edges. Moving on to lips, and I'm actually taking the shade Spirit from MAC. I swear I never see anyone talking about this shade. This is great. I absolutely love it. So pretty. I'm going to be topping it off with a little bit of clear gloss. This is just the Rimmel On My Gloss. It's in Crystal Clear. Mine's just a bit gungy because I keep dipping in after I use new lipstick. So yeah. And so guys, this is the finished look. So guys, just a wrap up, I am loving the Dream Street palette. I've got to say, I think I like this one the most out of all three of the palettes that I've purchased. So out of the Yes Please, Give It To Me Straight, and also Dream Street, this is my favorite. I think I like it because it's definitely a neutral palette, but it's a bit more mid-neutral, if you know what I mean. Give It To Me Straight is really plum and berry base. It does have a few kind of neutral warm browns, but it's definitely veers towards creating more of a plum mauvey kind of eye look. And same again with the Yes Please. Yes Please is definitely geared towards creating those really fiery, vibrant, autumn, fall kind of vibes with a lot of those yellows and those really fiery oranges in there. So it's definitely geared towards creating that kind of really warm, intense look. This one I feel is a little bit more neutral base, even though as you can see this is quite warm base. It's not like super fire orange by any means, and I do feel like having those nice pops of teal in there breaks up the kind of neutral focus of the palette, but I do really love my neutral. So I love how this makeup look turned out. I know that it's not super crazy and out there. It's kind of like my jam, having kind of neutral shimmers on the lids, cut crease, and kind of warm blended smoky brown crease kind of color. But this is my jam, and when I'm testing out palettes I like to kind of just go with what I know so I can really compare the shadows. So I love how it turned out. I hope you guys do too. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please leave me a big like, thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you are new so don't miss out on any of my new videos. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the week, guys, and I will see you all in my next video. Mwah! Bye, guys.